right, y'all. I was listening to this clip earlier when I was mowing the lawn, and Tim Pool pissed me off because he did the thing that so many people do. This is not the first time I've heard him do it, but it's when he wants to talk about the problem with society, and then when he targets men, he always has to use the fucking extreme. And it's like, why are we talking about this when the most common guy isn't that? The most common woman isn't that. So, and the reason I started here is a tad bit early, but I want to include the what the ladies want to say because it goes right to my point of he kind of just like I guess ignores it or just doesn't hear it because he has a like point in his head. We're going to start here and go from there.
To depress wages. Guaranteed.
So why do you think suddenly in the 1970s we saw this huge number of women enter the workforce? Like they just organically decided they loved careerism? Or do you think it had something to do with all the propaganda telling them that you need to have an education and have your own money because if you don't, you're vulnerable and your husband can abuse you?
But we have to get a bit more reductive because, well, what you're saying is absolutely true. Where does this come from? And I blame men.
Okay, so before we move on, she asked a really good question. Why do you the first question was why do you think so many women just out of nowhere entered the workforce? And I don't think too many people go further into it, but that's one thing he's going to attempt to do. But then she also made the absolute distinction that hey, there are so many women nowadays who want to become girl bosses. And that's like an important factor here that, again, it seems like he just kind of ignores. Oh, and then the thing about I blame men, I can't remember, but I think he's going to do the thing about politicians. And I've said this on the channel before. There's a big difference between men and politicians. They don't have the same goal. The most common of them don't have the same goal. So even if you want to say, because I said this when Zuby, I think his name is, black guy. He said the same thing. Well, it's men, people. I don't care what percent of the politicians are men. They're politicians first. That's who makes the law. That's what they make the law as. They don't make the laws as men. That's a very important distinction. Very important. Because if you're telling me that guy who works a 9 to 5 versus the typical politician are making the same decisions in society, you're full of shit. No, they're not. So please stop going, well, men did it. No, politicians did it. There's a big difference.
Weak men. Men are weak. Men continually grow weak. And an element of what's going on with the feminism, like I'll mention a lot of what we're seeing is really, really bad. Like no fault divorce, just basically meant marriage is over. It's like you're dating now. That's right. You're dating with.
Now that part I do agree with him. The fact, not just because it's no fault, but because people treat divorce as like this, basically like a one night stand, essentially. Like the same reasons that people will get divorced are literally the same reasons that people will leave their friends with benefits. So that part, this specific point here, I agree with them with.
The special placard from the government, but you can just leave at any moment. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
And these are bad things. However, all these guys that are watching these anti-women channel, like, I try not to be a dick to people who want to figure out how to better their lives. Like if I see a guy going to the gym, I'm going to tell him, like, and he's fat and he's overweight or whatever, and he's struggling, I'm going to be like, bro, you got this. You know what I mean? So I see these guys who are watching these channels, and part of me is just like, that's stupid. But I'm not going to hate on a guy who's actively investigating. They may not understand completely, but they're like, why is this thing happening? But I'll just put it this way. Part of what we're seeing, it's actually good. You know why? Weak men will fail, and they deserve to fail. And I will mock their failure.
Well, okay, now let's think about that. This isn't the point that I wanted to focus on, but I forgot it was in here. If you will applaud their failure, well, don't we also say we expect men to build society and keep society running and protect and all this type of shit? Especially because this is the second time I've heard him go, at some point in the clip, he's going to conservative, traditional. Why would you be okay with men failing then? You do realize part of the reason that men get weaker as time goes on is because the prior generation didn't properly give them, the tools and everything that they needed. So if they failed, you realize that other men have failed them, which means those men also have failed in an area, at least this one. You don't see the contradiction there? So in this very society, you're basically okay with the fact that women are going to continue to do better than men, which means they won't want men, generally speaking, which means the problem gets worse. This makes no, when you try so hard to not be I'm not anti-woman, I hold everybody accountable. You do shit like this. People don't want to ever actually say, for some reason, I guess, to not be a misogynist, to say, yes, I see why people say women are the problem. If you want to be distinctive about it and say this type of woman is the problem, that's fine. But when you're trying to be balanced by default, when problems and success are never balanced in society, or when they are, you tend to call them like socialism and communism, because that's how the outcome is. Everybody fails. Stop. Stop trying to be so damn balanced and ending up in situations like this where you're kind of contradicting your own point.
What about Acolyte? Star Wars sucks. I mean, this does suck.
Don't watch it. And where are the strong men to lift the burdens and the heavy rocks to make good stuff?
They're old, Tim. They're old. Remember, weaker. So your strongest men are going to be old. And then by time men grow up, when they don't have the proper guidance and realize where they failed, well, you end up with society today where so many adult males are going, well, what do you want me to do? This is the problem, Tim. But again, you will applaud their failure, which again, I repeat, will simply mean society itself failed, right? Alrighty.
So here's what I'm saying. You got a bunch of guys that are sitting online, overweight. And again, I'm not making fun of everybody's overweight, saying everybody's overweight is a failure. I'm saying you've got guys who are not trying to better themselves, who are not trying to exercise, who are not cleaning the Cheetos off their mustache, who aren't.
Tim.
That's right. I'm looking at you.
Okay, here's the thing. You have to say what percentage of adult men are doing this, right? And you probably even have to go into include teenagers and high schoolers as well, because they're right at the brink of becoming adults, right? And it's easy to just transition right into adulthood of failure, we'll say. But again, this is the part where I start to say, now you're just picking on the extreme situations, because you mean to tell me these people don't have jobs? Or are you saying literally they wake up, go to work, come back home, all day video games and Cheetos? That's still an extreme position to hold. Shit. You do realize even people with 9 to 5s and like somewhat of a social life are fat as hell in America. So you have to be talking about the minority here. All right, if you want to say it's big based on the size of the minority, you can, but then you have to make that case. Because I don't believe most or your typical guy is just in his basement eating Cheetos to the point where he doesn't even wipe the fucking dust off of his, like, come on, dude. Always with this image. Always. Can y'all pick something else? Because this is wrong. This is wrong. Literally keep pointing out to, like, the most absurd situation going, see, that's men today.
Alex, they're not wiping their armpits.
You know that I do eat a lot of Cheetos and stuff, yes. Tim knows that. That is a
what we're seeing right now is, for one...
And to be clear, yes, I know it's not literally specifically like Cheetos, more so as an idea of men are just not doing anything other than wasting away. But you do realize, unless you're saying they're not working at all, you can't make this point. Because in all of history, even back to for where you could only work with your hands, you literally, the typical man woke up, went to work, came home, ate, fucked his wife, went to sleep. Like, that was, even if you're way back when, that was that. Nowadays, because people aren't married, you still have that, except the wife and kids aren't there. There's no difference. That's the only difference, Tim. And everybody who makes this point.
We can go back 100 years, 200 years and talk about suffrage, and it was weak men across the board who kept bending the knee and could not maintain social order. They just gave up. But I look at today and I'm like,
against who did they bend the knee to? Who? Tim, it sounds like they bent the knee to the people who ordered the military, Tim. Because if you're going to tell me men collectively bent the knee to women collectively, really, Tim? Really, Tim? The working men literally was just like, oh fuck, I can't. The same man who people on the other side say just beat the hell out of the wives. Come on, dude. Stop it. You're talking about politicians. That's not fair to put that on men when you're talking about politicians.
well, look, it's interesting. Maybe what's happening needs to happen. This is natural selection.
Yeah.
A society has emerged.
No, it's not. It is not natural selection when it's being manipulated by the media, the government, etc. That's not natural selection. Natural selection is, if you want to keep it to humans, we go to war and the side wins. That's natural selection. This society advances, this side dies off by disease. That's natural selection. Jacking off after eating a big ass bag of Cheetos and downing it with a 2-liter Pepsi, that is not natural selection. That is good. Well, I probably shouldn't. I fucked up the example there. That is, this society is heavily manipulated. We all claim that one way or another. We claim that it's highly manipulated. A lot of policies have led to the situations we have. That's not natural selection, Tim. That's not.
Because men became weaker and weaker. They could not provide for what women wanted, and they could not provide stability in social order. And
Okay, Tim, you literally have a panel of women, one married, one not, and they both say that one says she wants like marriage of women not voting, blah blah blah. But then remember, Tim, you also have interviewed people, women, who have wanted the opposite. So what, like, they can't provide a million different life paths and please everybody. But that makes us weak. That makes us weak, including, again, interference from politicians. That makes us weak. That's the only way I'm going to accept the whole it makes us weak if you want to say they didn't pick up their guns and go to war with the government. And to that, I would have to vote at that point. They didn't go to war with the government to keep order, therefore we're here. But you also have to follow that up with, we kind of need, I think at that point you have to default to the point of we need a civil war. So, not sure anybody would go to that point, even though, because remember, that's like, you can't bring that up or else you're a crazy person. But literally war is how we get a lot of the shit accomplished. Whoever go back in history, whoever won the war, that's the way of life, how it went for a while. But you have to make that point first.
And now you have these fractured systems where young men sit around complaining on the internet, removing themselves from the dating pool, complaining they can't get in. Meanwhile, I know dudes who are swimming in women and they're short and they're wealthy. Because
again, what do you see the trade-off here? They're wealthy. Well, by default, the rest of them are going to be like working class and have like just a little bit of money, Tim. And that's literally what a lot of these Red Pill channels say. Again, I know I tell people all the time, it looks like Tim too. They block me usually. I know extremists exist. We get that. But the Red Pill channels this is one of their points is, listen, he's going to even make the point later, which is weird. They're going to either, because, listen, when they have their jobs, you know that point, Tim? We work now. How you going to get me? We work now. Well, yes, like I'm single with no kids. The transition that I would have to make to bring other people into my life, there's a lot of gift there, even though men don't get credit for that because we just consume women and children, right? There's a lot of gift there, Tim. So the same with women, when they're working and making their own money, even if they're check to check. Again, not having someone there, what pushback, which if you listen to another example, a lot of couples say they don't have shared bank accounts. One guy I highlighted before, me and my wife have separate bank accounts because it just makes it easier. She buys shit she wants to buy the shit I want, then nobody's mad. Literally, that is part of the leverage. I make my own money, fuck you. Are you the hot guy that comes by you once a month? No, get the fuck out my face then. Like, this is a legitimate part of the thing. Like, why do we act like this isn't, like, come on, dude. Every dude gotta be top 20. Is essentially what y'all saying. Every dude gotta be top 20. Come on, like, you say that they complain about it a little later, but then you're making the point right now. He's short and swimming in women, wealthy. Tim, your typical guy is going to make typical money, which is average. 60 grand or less. Your typical human being in America is going to, including men, specifically men right now, is going to make 60 grand or less. You're saying that no, become top 20. Okay. Unless you're going to say mass polygyny, you didn't solve the problem, Tim. When one guy enters the top 20, you do realize there's still going to be that 80 is always going to exist, Tim. Always. It will always exist. So if you telling me wealthy, he's going to make another example later, is that's what you have to be. Well, Tim, I don't know what the fuck to tell you at this point. I don't get it. If one of the arguments is the average woman is not fucking with the average dude because she got her own check, and she doesn't want to have that pushback and having to work with someone, what the fuck are they going to do? Oh, hey, I've entered the top 20 now. Come on, regular chick. Like, you're asking people to go do all this shit for what payoff? I've said this before. You know that song, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Valley Low Enough, River Wide Enough? That's a lie. That's a lie. Just like the example I'm using now, which is they'd rather go check to check than have that push against somebody, that friction. When you say come top 20%, and then you can, have frivolous sex with women, which is a weird example to make when you also make the traditional argument all the time, Tim. Well, now it's like you could do that, or here's some porn and Xbox. Like, I know y'all want to make that as like a lonely dude by default, or lowly. They both, I'm pretty sure you recognize both lonely and lowly. But it's like, it's also this, it's the same thing on the other side. It's the same shit. But we're only going to go men because we want men to magically be something when society has manipulated the process to where you're not that anymore. How the fuck do you make content addressing the fact that society did do this and then go, men are weak? No shit. Really? All right, dude. Shit. Before we even think, can we stop doing this? Can we stop acting like it's just these two words and that's it? Listen, I'm pretty sure I could default or be included into that. Just watch porn and jack off, eat, blah, 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 blah. But I literally just stopped. Well, at least I think it did, because she didn't text me today. But I stopped talking to a chick who we were messing around. You can't tell me that it's just one of the two. Either you killing it or you just jack off. Sometimes you go, you know what? I'll just do this because this dating thing is stupid, which it actually is. But that's another topic.
Because these guys are like, here are the cards I'm holding in my hand. I am going to figure out how to maximize my capabilities with this. If you look at a lot of these channels like to highlight these dating apps where women, they only want the top 20th percentile of attractive men. And so that means 80% of men are just out of the dating pool. And I look at that and I'm like, sucks for you, I guess, dude. I don't know how many times you got to read Jordan Peterson's book to figure out you don't just get to exist and get a woman.
That's That's not the point. That's not the point, Tim. When it comes to that, what I'll say is, again, let's take the average guy and the average woman. Or if you want to do below average, don't really matter. Average and below, we'll chalk it up like that. If I'm willing to play my part in a relationship, and again, not be some old grotesque fat ass, I'll grant you that. But if I'm willing to play my part in a relationship, and she's like, no, I got to be guaranteed luxuries that I would buy for myself with either the money I have or the money I'll borrow. Doesn't really matter. I have to be guaranteed this. It's like, how many dudes got that? And again, he's still ignoring every point. I'm gonna bring it up every time because he ignores it every time. Still ignoring listen, let's flip it. If a dude was guaranteed to only be able to fuck a just baddie once a month, despite where he was or what he did, do you not think men would do the same thing? You're never going to get rid of that problem with the type of society we have today. So again, it's not just I want to exist. It's okay, if you're willing to have these values, morals, blah, 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 because everybody can offer the good shit, Tim. I'm sorry. That's literally not possible. The reason we even have like entertainers like Tim is because most people aren't entertaining. Otherwise, we all would just listen to each other and be entertained that way. Most people aren't entertaining. So like this whole nice guy thing that people like to judge and say, that's something you should have by default. Well, it's something you're trying to do, right? You're trying to figure something out, right? You're trying to figure something out. Some people only got the basics. When I say some, I actually mean most. That's what most people got. And ironically, he's kind of going to make the point later that if she's got a vagina, then she of course, because she's got a vagina.
Like, there was one I was watching. I'm going to shout him out, Homath, because credit goes to him, despite the fact I'm being right.
I like his work. That's what I'm saying.
He shows the 10 through 1 men and women and how women go up. A woman who is a 1 wants a man who's a 4.
Right.
And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't think a woman who's a 1 is getting anybody. And like,
they shockingly
that's not true.
do.
Wait, I have to cut you off, Tim.
Yeah,
Because
they shockingly do.
well, if you've watched my
shockingly
do.
But let me make this point. If you've ever watched my 600-pound life, there's literally 600-pound women. They always have a boyfriend.
No.
They always have a boyfriend on that
see,
show.
a 600-pound woman is like a 4.
One, like a burn victim?
Yeah.
No, burn victims could be 9s. For real? Like being subjected to a horrific accident doesn't reduce your value.
Yeah, I know, but looks wise, like,
Yeah, we're talking about looks, aren't we?
are we?
We do the
No,
one
no,
that-
no.
How do you rate?
Oh, you're doing
Dating-
total
dating-
value.
okay.
Yeah, total marketing,
Okay.
total dating value. So women have babies.
Fucking Tim, dude, really? Look, think about that. Oh, her biology she can never be a 1. Yes, she can, Tim. Yes, she can. Like those dudes that jack off, that shit that comes out, that also helps make babies, Tim. That just because she's the vessel does not mean she can't be a fucking 1, Tim. Stop it. Just because dudes are willing to date 1s, my 600-pound life, it's not even a 1. Them dudes literally in there washing the full fat ass body of those chicks, dude. Tim, stop. Stop. This the bullshit we talking. The red pill channels, Tim, shit like this is why they exist. The idea that she can be my 600-pound life, big as hell, no job, stank, need him to care for her. She's a 4 because she can get pregnant. She's immediately above him because she can get pregnant. You out of your fucking mind, Tim. Because she can get pregnant, she's immediately above him, despite not being able to care for herself in the most basic way, Tim. You fucking serious? Do we even need to finish this shit? That shit is egregious. I don't even know. I shouldn't use that because I don't know the definition. I just heard it used. But you get the point, Tim. Or he's not gonna hear this. But y'all get the point. The idea there are people. A lot of people think this way. This is why they immediately go to the extreme examples of what a red pill person is. Hell, I got a video that I saved that I might even tie into this. People's idea about men and women dynamics is men ought to take. Fuck, women shouldn't do this, but men ought to just take her because she can have a baby. Fuck you. Fuck all of you who have this idea. That hell no. Fuck that. Literally the example right now that people have put forth. That thing, that is Klein or something. He was on Kendra G, by the way. She said fuck off because he was playing around. But the example he put on the table is a chick who's 600 pounds, which in most cases, she cannot fend for herself. She can't work. She usually has some sort of condition because of her weight. She can't like care for herself, wash up. She needs other people to wash her. She needs other people to attend to her medical problems. She can't do shit. But she's immediately a 4, which is right below average, Tim, because she can get pregnant. Fuck this idea, Tim. Hell no. Come better than that, Tim. Come better than that. Fuck that. Come back. She's literally a negative, Tim. I don't give a fuck how many babies she can have. She's a negative. She's not even a 0. She's a negative. She needs to be cared for by people, Tim. She needs to be cared for by people, Tim. The fuck is this? Bullshit, dude. I was like, I stopped mowing the lawn for like a whole minute and a half. Because I had to pause and go, what the fuck did he say? What? Holy shit. All right, let's go.
That means it's very, very hard to be a one woman.
Oh, that's true.
Right. So
No,
a
it's
one
not.
woman is like a barren, mentally deficient, limbless autist in a nursing home. And to be fair, there are men who will abuse that poor
Yeah.
creature. You know what I mean? Like, so
Why the fuck did a man abuse come up? Why? Well, seriously, Tim, you do realize shit like what you just did plays right into that, right? You do realize the more people are able to go out of nowhere, man, you know men are bad, right? You know men ain't shit, right? You know that, right? Right? You know that, right? Younger men are going to hear that and go, well, fuck it. Or even adult men who are probably watching your content or people alike and like, let me see if I can figure something out. And it's like, is everybody against me? Fuck this. So do you, I forgot, you want them to fail. My bad.
oh, even in that regard. But my point to Home Math was like, men are not ranked based on appearance. If you're a guy and you think that your number rating is based on appearance, you've not done any of the reading.
Okay, Tim, the problem with that is, yes, it is. Like I just said, if they're willing to go check to check because they can fuck somebody that's better than them, that comes into play, Tim. Why do you think when tradition comes up, like the chick you have on your panel right now, Tim, is like, I don't know how old she is, but she's not like 20. She went viral because she said broke ass niggas. But she's cute, and even the other chick pointed it out. Tim, like, they'll go traditional. That lady, single lady on his panel right now, considers herself traditional, despite no kids, no marriage. And that is a very common thing for them to wait until 40 and go, I'm traditional. Kendra G. Every fucking show, she has a chick that got like 7 baby daddies, no marriage. Yeah, I'm traditional. You gotta pay the bills. Dude, Tim, stop it, dude. You may not want men's rating to be based on looks, but that plays a huge part, Tim. You can't just ignore it. I get it. You want to tell men, if you're productive, your chances become better. No shit. But you still at that point saying, well, enter the top 20%. Tim, that's not a solution. Unless you're going to go mass polygyny, Tim, that's not a solution. That is not a solution. If, again, remember, I'm repeating this because I'm trying to tie it together. If they're willing to go, no matter how they look, check to check, fucking up, that means looks heavily play a part in that until they go, at least either, and it could be a combination of the two, get old enough to go, I'm tired of working, someone save me, and then you just become the bill payer for this old hoe, or you enter the top 20% and they go, maybe, I don't know, do I have to give up my weekend dick? Give me a minute. I'll say yes at some point. Listen, how about you just date me, be my friend first? And then at some point, we'll be traditional. How about that? You gotta acknowledge that, Tim. But in order to acknowledge that, you have to at some point admit it's not solely about them being productive. But I don't think you ever want to admit that.
Right. The Science of Sex documentary from a long time ago, they took 10 pictures of 10, no, I think it was like 100 men and 100 women. And then they had people come in the lab and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 for attractiveness. They then took those pictures out into the streets and said, here's a picture, went to a woman, said, here's a picture of a guy. How would you rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10? Guess what? The tall guy in the flannel with the rugged good looks and the wavy hair, they were like 9, 10, ooh, 9. And then, you know what they did? They showed this frumpy, chubby guy with thin hair and glasses and, you know, ugly. And the women were like, ooh, 5, 4. Then they added biographies. They made the guy in the flannel a manager at a theater who made $35,000 a year. They made the fat guy a software engineer who made $500,000 a year. And guess what happened?
It flipped. Yeah.
It evened out.
Yeah.
So,
Tim, did you really say that and thought it proved your point or had any support for you at all? Literally. It evened out, Tim? So let's say instead of fat and frumpy, you're just average looking. So you go from needing to make $500,000 to what? Just 200. just a measly 200, Tim. Really? You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars and only be equivalent to the fine guy making like 10, what is that, $17 an hour? Tim, that looks are a huge part in that. Huge. God damn, dude. I don't know how you thought that was supportive for you. It was not at all. It only proves red pill is right. If you have to make, and women also say this, if you gotta make in the top, hell, that is $500,000, Tim, that's literally the top 1%, Tim. But let's cut you some slack and say the top 10. If you have to enter the top 10% of financial blah, 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 in order to acknowledge that if a guy's having a problem, you go, the fuck is wrong with women? That's goddamn, that's some egregious bullshit, Tim. Egregious. Nobody, listen, and let me make this very clear. I'm not gonna say nobody. I'm gonna say me. I'm not at all saying that the average woman just ought to offer herself up to the average guy. Not at all. But if that average guy has his job, has he does what he does. He's not lazy, but he's accepted. No, this is kind of my life. This is what I fell into. This is where it worked, how it worked out. I'm cool. If the average woman says, nah, I kind of got my check, not as big as his check, don't give a fuck. I don't have to deal with any friction that relationship would offer. It's not worth it to me. I get to fuck a little better looking guys to him. So I'll just set my life over here. I refuse to look at that guy and go, oh, you just gotta work a little harder for it. What? The dismissive cold shoulder she just gave him? Fuck that. That other person isn't human. I don't know why y'all act like that. That other person, while having a penis, isn't human. So if that life is not good enough, which that is going to, there's no point in societal history or humanity history where all men were just in the top 20%. I don't know why people act like this. You're never going to get that, especially in a society that empowers and tries its damnedest to get women in higher earning positions. And then on top of that, simply having a degree, regardless of what you make, that is immediately like a disqualifier for like the regular guy. You gotta stop. Stop. Please stop. It becomes dishonest at this point. She doesn't want him, and I'm just using average woman, average guy. She doesn't want him. Okay. Don't now go, well, he ought to be really harder to get the same person that the other person just gets stopped by on Saturday. Do you understand the unappreciation of in that situation is going to be? Do you understand that? Do you understand that? She's always going to be like, if I was single, every argument, it ain't got to be an argument, just being displeased. She literally is going to, in her mind, go, I could have got something better than this tonight. I literally could have just called up a better dick than this. Oh my God. And that's another thing, Tim. Does every dude have to be her like absolute best in the sack? This is where like you're white, so you probably don't have uses where it doesn't really matter. But I remember hearing like a panel of dudes, black guys, and they said, "You gotta be super nigga." Matter of fact, I want to use one guy. He went slightly viral for a second. He said, "Chicks be like, you gotta have weekend, house, long dick, lot of money, right? Porsche, be a thug, blah." Like essentially, like 8 different dudes in one, but they're all top 1 in all 8 categories. It's like, hey, yo, like at what point do you just go, what the fuck do y'all want? Because you can't have everything. But that's I guess that's too weak, Tim. I guess it's too weak. Putting values first and raising family first before all the shit that they, want, like passports and shit. I guess that's a little too weak, Tim. Guess a little too weak.
Now all of a sudden the frumpy ugly guy's a 6 or a 7. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. That ugly guy, well, he's rich. He can provide. And so men get mad at women for being gold diggers. And I'm just like, that's the stupidest thing in the world.
Well, that's like what we were designed for. Like, these people, they always contradict themselves with their logic. Like, they want women to be a stay-at-home mom or whatever. But in order to do that, you got to have somebody who at least can bring in enough money.
Now, this is the part where people start pretending that only one type of archetype exists in literally every category that they can think of because it makes their point. There are plenty of dudes on social media making reel after reel after reel after reel about how women should be out and working. How they have no problem with their girl picking up the tab. Or they have no problem with blah, 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 blah. Remember, there was this chick named, she's a media person, Megyn Kelly. She went off about Matt Walsh because Matt Walsh reacted to that one chick who her dad was like a breakdancer or whatever. Because she was like, I went out with a man's man. He paid for everything. Yeah. All these other guys, they're just like snowflakes. They don't, you go halvesies. Like, Tim, you have so many different types of people out there that you're kind of ignoring, well, at least she did, ignoring the fact that there are men who understand that women, like Megyn Kelly, the point she's making, saying, no, I want to work. I want to get out there and kill. I want to. And then these men say, yes, I understand that. Really? Oh, but I guess we're just talking about the red pills? You don't think the red pill at all is flexible? You think you're going to make the point that every red pill wants a woman to stay home. That is not red pill idea. That's not. It's not. You might have heard something like that on a red pill podcast. That is not a red pill point. It's not. And secondly, there's a big gray area between gold digging and being a stay-at-home mom. Okay, here's how I define gold digging. Gold digging is when we talk about a woman who essentially wants to try to finesse financial stability out of a man and offer nothing. Whether you use the court system or the fucking court system. Like, that's essentially how you define gold digging. I personally don't say just because she wants a guy who's rich. If she can get that, well, then you can just fucking get it. But we even know that there are women who, on the lower level, I live in the hood. There are chicks who try their damnness to get welfare, child support, shit like that. That's also a gold digger. A low level one, that's also a gold digger. It's simply a woman trying to get something for nothing. That's what a gold digger is. Now, does it get bastardized? Yes. It gets bastardized into, she just wants rich. But again, even then, there's a big difference between rich and simply a guy who can make you stay-at-home wife. Now, being a stay-at-home wife, you can have that without him being rich. It's called planning, prioritizing, budgeting. If you're going to sit here and make the case she shouldn't have to plan, prioritize, and budget, you're full of shit at this point. Well, I already hold that position, but I get to say it here. You can be a stay-at-home mom without him making $500,000. Holy shit.
To make that possible. You know, like, I feel like...
And no, you were not designed to be a gold digger. The fuck? If men gotta accept this, then you, man, when you get that gold haver guy, you gotta accept, well, he was designed to fuck a bunch of bitches. Now Andrew Tate makes a whole lot of sense now, where he says, fuck all the women. Have like 5 children with different women. All these miniature podcasters, when they say he should have the first and fit exercise options, that becomes very relevant now. Very relevant. Because they were built for this. What do you mean? Men during the dawn of times they went and slayed other men, like when I say slay me killed, slayed other men and fucked the women there and left, and then slayed another town and fucked women there and left, and fucked women there and there and there and there. They were made for this. So you understand that, right? You understand that you're not just going to be the only one when you become a stay-at-home mom, right? Cool. Let's move on.
Women don't really care about, like, I don't really care about looks so much. You're just...
Show me your lineup. Show me your lineup. Like you don't care about looks, ma'am. The chick who gets the general society of men will call you pretty. Show me your lineup of the dudes you've been with. Let's see how they look. Let's see if half of them are average. But also, where's the guy who can? Why no kids and no marriage? Why? Because you don't care about looks. And you in your original viral video said, you don't need a lot of money. All women I know married to broke ass niggas. That's fine. So you don't care about looks. You don't care about a lot of money. At least that's what you said in your original viral video. So you should have absolutely no problem getting married and having children. Where are they? You're full of shit.
Looking more for somebody who's competent, you feel like, okay, you're somebody I can actually trust. Like, you've got it together. You can lead the family. And then somebody who has the ability to work or will work. It's not really so much the money, it's the ability, will you go out and work? So I think throwing women...
Ma'am, you can get that at a truck stop. I'll take it from a truck driver. There's plenty of dudes at the truck stop that's competent. They're truck drivers, so they can pay them bills. And then the ones that are either regional or come home every night, ma'am, you got it made. So go on up to the Pilot Travel Center. Get your husband, lady. Oh, you don't care about looks. Good thing you don't. Good thing you don't. So go ahead. Go on up there. Get your husband, girl.
And the bus for that is kind of stupid because it's ultimately like biology forcing them to choose somebody based on, we think this person can allow me to stay at home and raise kids.
Okay, if y'all gonna keep doing this shit, I'm gonna need you all that share this idea to go and make sure that instead of prioritizing women empowerment, make sure they prioritize men's empowerment, right? Because that would allow women to do this, right? And because it's biology, every woman wants it, right? It's biology. So go and reshape society. Don't make these kind of videos. No, make the absolute push for men empowerment in America, so all women can have that provider man. Y'all gonna do that? Are y'all gonna do that? Nope. Just gonna say they weak and hope they fail, because women will definitely get their provider man then, won't they? All right.
Yeah, there a lot of guys who...
If anything, it's traditional.
Right. A lot of guys who aren't going to do the work. I saw this meme on 4chan. It's a viral 4chan meme, green text memes, if you've ever seen them. And it was a picture of that, was it Hamish and Andy? I think the comedians were, I'm not sure. You remember that one, Alex, where they're like, are we the baddies?
Yeah,
the Nazis?
Course, yeah.
It was that picture. And then he's like, my friend came and started complaining about this girl. He started saying, like, she has been, like, she's like a gold digger, she's snooty, she's elitist. He asked her out and she refused. And she decided to date some loser guy. And then he was like, oh, wow. He's like, yeah, I hear that a lot. So he says, I decided to look up who this guy was. And he's like, he's an athlete. He's fit. He's 6 feet tall. He works at a charity helping children. And then he was like, my friend is obese, lazy, doesn't want to go to work, won't wash himself. And he was like, I think we're the bad guys.
Again, he said mean. So this isn't true. This didn't actually happen. If you want to ask the question or even make the statement that there are delusional guys who exist, well, yeah, that's men also have their delusional core, right? However you want to word that. But I don't think you have a ton of dudes who are walking around fat, short, stinky, ungroomed, no social skills. Because you have to have no social skills to not have any type of awareness to this degree and are expecting attractive women. Again, the lengths y'all go to say that men are wrong, like this ought to tell you how wrong you are about us being wrong. This ought to tell you that. Because you always go to the fucking extreme to prove a point. But we can literally just turn on a dating show and catch a shit ton of women going, yeah, so I make $250,000 and I know I'm not pretty and nor in shape, but like by default that means he has to make what I make, right? Isn't that how that works? Like, seriously, like really? Like that's how common that is.
Like, yeah, like evolutionary biology and psychology. Women want to find a guy who's going to protect them from a bear.
And men want to fuck every woman on planet Earth. So we are going to make that exchange, correct? If you're going to do the biology thing, I need to make that absolute thing. We need to put that in place. That if you get the guy who can fend off a bear, you need to understand he's going to fuck every woman in his path that he finds attractive. You need to be okay with that. And we need to tell women that when you get this guy, to be okay with that. You know, the fresh and fit point that so many people hate. Your point literally makes the fresh and fit point accurate.
You that guy?
Well, I think the problem we have now is that's great if women do have, like Lily said, the intention of being moms, having kids, and they want a man to provide because they're going to have a family. But the issue we've run into now is that that's not what most women want to do. The average woman is having like 1.6 children now. The average first age they have a baby is like 30 or 31.
What's the average body count, Rachel? You probably know.
It varies.
So the body count topic, I'm going to skip past that. Well, I'll let it play, but I'm going to skip past that. But again, her point that she's making before he cut her off is spot on. Been making it this whole time. They don't actually want that. They've been told that if they have that kid and be with that guy and just be a stay-at-home mom, he's going to beat the living daylights out of her. Fuck the bear. He's going to... Remember, you brought up the bear because that viral question. They literally en masse said, well, the bear is safer. Because he will only eat you to death. Seriously. You're not going to acknowledge that it is not only an uphill battle, but like gravity was turned up to 10 Nero infinity.
So much depending on what surveys you look at. It could be like, some of them say like 8, some of them say a lot higher. I think it's probably higher because
it's higher.
They're all
they
lying.
lie.
Yeah.
They lie. We all know that they lie. So I don't know about the body count, but it's just like if women wanted those things from men for the purpose of having a family, I think that's fine. But sadly, they don't seem to want to do that. So now or they wait until they're like 35 and they're like, well, now I want to have a child. And as a result, the United States for the first time has a rising maternity.
And also a point that I've made before. We have social media now. Women talk their shit. Everybody talk their shit, but specifically women talk their shit. So you don't think the average guy, when he can't get no pussy till he's 40, you don't think he know what's up now? Yeah, back in the day when that happened, he thought he just got his shit together. Like, yeah, I done figured it out. I'm killing it now. I'm out here. Then that's when they go, well, the good man and blah blah blah. But in today's world, you kind of know. Your average millennial at 40 kind of know. Now, he might still take the deal for companionship, but he knows now. So how do you think he's going to react? You think he's going to always react with the bet? Let's just do this. I'll be the provider, blah, blah, blah. No. No, he's you gonna have some bitter ones in there. That go, you told me fuck me for 20 years. Fuck you. I'll keep jacking off and eating Cheetos. Fuck that. Cause I know the real deal now. I done seen too many dudes get in the position to where they're like they thought they were winning now, and now once a couple babies come out, it's like I kind of scratched the itch for the babies, and this nigga still here trying to get some pussy from me. Oh, like that, and then now you got the whole what you acknowledged him, which is like just like a male in divorce, like oh fuck that, let's get out of here.
Mortality rate due to the advanced age of first pregnancy and pregnancies in general. So it's like we're kind of at this weird impasse where if women want men for resources, but you're also a career boss babe who has her own money and you got your own bag and you don't need a man for anything, then you can see why dating isn't working for people.
We should teach the history of Sparta in our homeschools.
Or just watch the movie Idiocracy. Everybody's
Tim, why the fuck didn't you acknowledge that? When a girl over there brought up the whole traditional thing, you jumped all over it. Why did you just joke past that, Tim? Why did you do that?
And you can see why dating isn't working for people.
We should teach the history of
Due to the advanced age of first pregnancy and pregnancies in general. So it's like we're kind of at this weird impasse where if women want men for resources, but you're also a career boss babe who has her own money and you got your own bag and you don't need a man for anything, then you can see why dating isn't working for people.
We should teach the history of Sparta.
And also one thing I forgot to mention is during these boss babe lives, when you create a certain lifestyle and then expect that lifestyle should never be impeded because you've built it, that's insane. Not only should you keep it, but he should come in and pay for it because you lived it single. I literally had showed you in the video before where I literally asked the lady, so if we make it somewhere, would you be willing to go down to just traveling once or twice? And she literally was like, fuck no. We shouldn't say that, but she was like, fuck no. I gotta give up some shit to be in a relationship. Like that is also a big deal. And people like Tim is just like, nope, men suck, and that's what I'm going to do. Fine.
In our homeschools.
Or just watch the movie Idiocracy. Everybody's seen. Have you seen that movie?
Of course.
At the very beginning, why everybody's getting stupid because all the idiots are just having babies, and then the people that.
Okay, I stopped watching it about right here, and so to keep from going literally to like a 2-hour mark, because depending on what they say I could, I'm going to stop it here. Do you agree at all with Tim? If so, how much? What points do you agree with? Whatever. And how right am I? All right. Nothing below 95%. But all right, be right, not positive. I'm out.